Imagine a world without electricity. No cars, no factories, no phones, no internet, no modern medicine, just farms, fields, horses, and hand tools. That was life for 99% of human history. And then, in only a few decades, everything changed. The Industrial Revolution wasn't just an economic shift, it was the turning point of the human story. A moment when humanity broke free of the limits of muscle, wind, and water and entered an age powered by steam, steel, and imagination. This is the story of how the Industrial Revolution transformed the world, created modern life, and permanently rewired what it means to be human. For thousands of years, life hardly changed. Most people lived in small villages. Most worked as farmers. Tools were simple. Travel was slow. Information spread by word of mouth or handwritten scrolls. A blacksmith's hammer, a weaver's loom, a mill powered by a river. These were the machines of the ancient world. Progress happened, but slowly, painfully, and in tiny steps. By the year 1700, Europe looked not too different from Rome 1,000 years before. Clothing was hand-woven. Iron was smelted in small furnaces. Everything from furniture to shoes to nails was crafted by hand. But beneath the surface, something was shifting. England's population was exploding. Trade was booming. And scientific breakthroughs were reshaping the way thinkers saw the world. Humanity was standing at the edge of a cliff, and the leap into modernity was about to begin. In the early 700s, Britain faced a crisis. The island was running out of wood, the main source of heat and energy for centuries. But underground lay an answer: coal. Mines had existed for centuries, but digging deeper was dangerous. Flooding was constant. Miners needed a way to remove water from the pits. Then came a breakthrough, a machine that changed everything. It was slow. It was clunky. It used huge amounts of coal. But it worked. For the first time in history, humans created a machine that could perform labor not powered by people or animals, but by steam. The world would never be the same. If Newcomen built the spark, James Watt built the explosion. In 1765, Watt redesigned the steam engine, making it efficient, powerful, and ready for mass use. Suddenly, steam machines could do almost anything. Pump water, run factories, power trains, drive ships. Steam didn't get tired. Steam didn't strike. Steam didn't sleep. For the first time, human labor was no longer the limit of human productivity. This was the birth of industry and the dawn of a new world. The first major industry to explode was textiles. Before machines, a skilled weaver could create only a small amount of cloth per day. Then came machines like the flying shuttle, 1733, the spinning jenny, 1764, the water frame, 1769, the spinning mule, 1779. Each invention multiplied output. Cloth was suddenly cheaper, faster to make, and available to everyone. Factories appeared, massive buildings filled with hundreds of machines and powered by fast-flowing rivers. Towns like Manchester went from quiet villages to booming industrial cities almost overnight. The age of factories had begun, but industrialization came with a brutal price. Child labor, children as young as 5 worked in factories and mines. Their small hands were used to fix machines while they were still running. Injuries were common. Deaths were frequent. 14-hour workdays, there were no breaks, no worker protections, no unions. People were tools used until they broke. Pollution like the world had never seen. Skylines turned black with smoke. Rivers filled with chemicals. Cities grew faster than sanitation systems. Diseases ran rampant. Industrial towns were crowded, filthy, dangerous, yet millions kept pouring in, because even this harsh life was often better than rural poverty. This was the paradox of the Industrial Revolution. It created prosperity and suffering at the same time. With steam power came a need for better machines, better tools, and better buildings. Enter iron and later steel. The Bessemer process, invented in the 1850s, made steel cheap and abundant. Suddenly, the impossible became possible. Skyscrapers, bridges, steamships, railways, massive factories, cities grew upward. transportation networks stretched outward. Steel didn't just change industry, it changed landscapes. Before the Industrial Revolution, a journey from London to Edinburgh took 12 days. Shipping goods across the Atlantic took 6 weeks. Moving heavy cargo required horses, oxen, or ships relying on unpredictable winds. Steam changed everything. Steam locomotives in 18299, George Stephenson's rocket train stunned the world. Fast, powerful, and reliable, it connected cities like veins in a new industrial body. Steamships no more waiting for the wind. Goods and people crossed oceans faster and safer. Railways shrank countries. Steamships shrank the world. Factories could now reach global markets. Ideas traveled faster than ever. Migration exploded. Empires expanded. Humanity was moving, and it was moving fast. The Industrial Revolution didn't only change how we work, it changed how we communicate. The telegraph, 1837, for the first time in history, you could send a message instantly across continents. What took weeks by ship took seconds by wire. It was the Victorian version of the internet, and societies were transformed. Later inventions followed. The telephone, photography, radio, electricity. The world was becoming connected, informed, and aware. The Industrial Revolution turned humanity into a global network. One of the most overlooked results of industry was the revolution in medicine. Crowded cities forced governments to improve sanitation. Hospitals advanced. Microscopes revealed microbes. Vaccinations became widespread. For the first time, life expectancy began to rise dramatically. Scientific thinking, data, experimentation, engineering became the new language of progress. Disease, ignorance, and superstition began to fade, replaced by reason and innovation. Industrialization didn't just create machines, it created new social structures. 1. The working-class factory workers who lived in harsh conditions but formed the backbone of industrial growth. 2. The middle-class clerks, engineers, merchants, managers, people who had never before existed in such numbers. 3. The consumer society. Mass production meant mass consumption. People could buy watches, clothing, furniture, newspapers, tools. Life became more comfortable, predictable, and standardized. For the first time, ordinary people had access to goods once reserved for kings. Women entered the workforce in huge numbers. Some gained new freedoms, earning their own wages, working in cities, pursuing education, but others faced terrible exploitation. Unsafe factories, half the wages of men, grueling hours, no legal protections. Yet this shift planted the seeds of change. The women's rights movement grew directly out of industrial society. Machines transformed factories, and factories transformed gender roles. The Industrial Revolution created wealth, but not evenly. Industrial nations, Britain, France, Germany, the United States, Japan, grew incredibly powerful. Their factories demanded raw materials, labor, and markets. This fueled imperial expansion into Africa, India, Southeast Asia, the Middle East. Colonialism, exploitation, and resource extraction became global systems. The gap between industrial and non-industrial nations widened dramatically, shaping geopolitics for centuries. Between 1870 and 1914, the world entered a second wave of industrialization. New technologies reshaped every aspect of life: electricity, the light bulb, the combustion engine, elevators, airplanes, chemicals, modern medicine, mass factory production. Cities lit up at night. Skyscrapers pierced the sky. Cars replaced horses. Airplanes conquered the air. The world became recognizable, a modern world. If the first industrial revolution created industry, the second created civilization. With immense progress came immense sacrifice. Environmental destruction, forests vanished. Oceans filled with waste. Atmospheric carbon rose sharply. Species went extinct. Human exploitation. Workers fought for fair wages, safety rules, weekends. Child labor laws, labor unions were born from industrial suffering. War technology. Factories gave birth to machine guns, tanks, chemical weapons, aircraft. Industrial scale conflict. The Industrial Revolution gave humanity unprecedented power and unprecedented responsibility. Today's digital revolution mirrors the Industrial Revolution in many ways. Back then, machines replaced manual labor, cities grew, communication sped up economies. Globalized societies transformed today. Algorithms replace mental labor. The internet connects the world, AI reshapes industries. Globalization intensifies, culture transforms at hyperspeed. Just like then, we stand on the edge of a new unknown. Every moment of your daily life is shaped by the Industrial Revolution. Your phone, car, electricity, job, home, clothing, food, medicine, transportation, entertainment all exist because of those first factories, those first engines, those first sparks of steam driven ambition. The Industrial Revolution is still happening. We are still riding the wave. The Industrial Revolution wasn't just a chapter in history, it was the hinge on which the entire story of humanity turned. It lifted billions out of poverty and created new forms of suffering. It birthed modern science and modern pollution. It broke the limits of human labor and created new struggles for human rights. It is a story of brilliance and brutality, innovation and exploitation, progress and peril. But above all, it is the story of transformation, the story of how humanity built machines and how those machines remade humanity.